Well, good day. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. It's great to see so many of you joining us today. I am Stuart Rogers. I'm editor-in-chief of Data Economy. Data Economy, of course, runs the world's, well, not the world's, but Europe's biggest data science and AI conference, Data Natives. And we are very, very, very happy to be bringing you this wonderful content. So let's just see. Somebody says I may be on mute. It doesn't look like I'm on mute. So can you hear me, Martin?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, perfect. All right. Robert, if you want to just double check your settings, because it looks like we can hear each other here, which is great. And I heard Martin, which is even better. So we're very proud to present to you this webinar today, why develop data products on top of Headless BI. It's the evolution of business intelligence, and it's brought to you by the very good people, Martin and Jonna at Good Data. I know Martin will do a better introduction for Good Data than I could possibly ever do. So without further ado, let's get into the wonderful content today. Martin, I'll hand over to you.
All right. Thank you, Stuart. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, to the different corners of the world. Nice to meet you, everybody. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Martin Čvarlenka, and I'm from Czech Republic. And I do work in a Good Data as a product manager, and I'm responsible for the recent addition to our portfolio called GoodData.CN. And this is actually what I will be talking about today partially. This is what all the demos that I will be showing you today are built on the top of. And together with me, I have Jonna Azizai. She's our community manager. So without the further ado, let's jump into the topic here. So first of all, let me talk a bit about the agenda. As the name of the webinar actually says, today we are going to talk about what are the advantages and why you should build your data-oriented product on the top of what is called the Headless BI. Now, Headless BI is, I would say, a relatively new term, even though it's kind of a self-explanatory. I will try also to go through what it really is, why we have decided to bring the product that is actually Headless BI oriented, what are the use cases behind it, what are the advantages and disadvantages, and most of all, what are the differences between the traditional BI analytical projects approach. Then we will move into the chapter where I will try to describe what does it mean when we say today analytics consumption, what are the modern methods when using the Headless BI projects, what are the methods of consuming analytics, what does it actually mean. We'll talk a bit about the access management, so how Headless BI projects can be managed with a multi-tenancy approach for different endpoints when you have a multiple different consumers or consumer groups of who wants to consume your analytics, meaning of dashboards, insights, metrics, a semantic model, and so on and so on. I will then show you what is the vision behind building the effective semantic model and metrics behind the Headless BI projects. And I will also show you how to manage the whole application. How can the GoodData.CN, as our Headless BI engine, as we like to call it, can fit into the existing application stacks. And then we will have some section for your Q&A. For any of you who have any questions, you have any topics you want me to spend some time on, don't be afraid to put it to the chat. Don't be afraid to ask directly in there. We will get into the questions in the end. If there are any questions that Jonna can answer regarding the product or regarding the good data, let us know as well, and we will try to answer as much as we can directly on the chat. So let's move actually into the first chapter, and that's actually the Headless BI itself. What it really is, what does it mean for the BI as it stands? Well, first of all, I will actually start from the top, right? What is the reasoning behind introducing a new concept? Today, the number of the analytical consumers, and I will explain later on what does that mean, is actually growing. Every single company, and it rises with the size of the company, has various different applications that has to consume a data and express it to more or less technical users and more or less business users, right? You have a traditional BI tools. You have things like Power BI, Tableau, and so on, that actually wants to connect to data, and they want to just simply show some, insights, some dashboards, and visualize it with a simple way to the business consumers. You then have some, specific tools like a location insights, right? Typically the Clever Maps, that's one of our partners. They connect their tool that specializes into analyzing the geographical data, right, on top of the Google Maps. So they connect in there, they get the data, right, from there, they connect it with some data regarding about the traffic accidents and so on, and they combine it into their visuals, right? You have the traditional, super traditional tools, I would say, like Excel, but it's still heavily used. You have things used for data science, right? Like RStudio, you have notebooks like Jupyter notebooks, and you have also other tools. I use an example of a scheduled emails, right? But the concept here is that there are also tools that somehow consume not the visuals, but they consume the data that stand behind the visuals, right? For example, your data analyst team creates the super cool chart that actually calculate the revenue, right? That shows the revenue. And when the revenue comes into a certain point, you want to schedule the email that go to the whole company saying, hey man, we have achieved the goal. Ladies and gentlemen, we are great. We have achieved the goal. This is what happened. This is how it stands. This is why it happened, and so on and so on. So there are various different consumers in the market. Now, what is the traditional approach is that you have somehow consolidated data, right? Whether it is just a pure data source, it can be so many customers, so many customer hours, so many companies around the world. They just simply have their data source and they connect the consumer tools from the group that I have just shown on the previous slide to consumer data and build the visuals on the top of it, right? Directly. Some of them, they use the data warehousing, some of them, they use the data lakes, but the common problem is that as we like to call it, the analytics are tightly coupled with the insights. What does that mean? The typical example that you know, probably all of you, if you connect your Power BI to your data and start building the analytics, all the data calculations, building your metrics, this stands in the Power BI. You use DAX, right, to calculate any calculated fields. For example, calculate the revenue. Revenue usually don't come up from the data source, from the data warehouse or a data lake, right? It has to be somehow calculated based on the incomes of the various different departments and so on and so on. Same situation with the Tableau. They have their own proprietary language that kind of defines the calculations and so on and so on. In every other tools, the situation is the same. So when, for example, for various different reasons, you need to calculate, and let me keep using the revenue. When you want to calculate the revenue, you have to have a group of the people or individuals that understand every single consumption tool, right? To build that calculation in the tool and then keep it consistent. This is a huge problem. I like to use the example of, what is that called? The huge vendor that is providing the accommodation around the world. It's Airbnb. Sorry, pardon my memory. So Airbnb, they have, like a couple of years ago, they have went through a very similar project. They had the decentralized the data sources, the metric sources on the various different places for the various different consumer applications. They ended up with, I believe, more than 5,000 metrics to being built. You can imagine if you maintain this metrics layer, or as we call it altogether, the semantic layer, because, and I will explain later on what does that mean in the context of the good data. But if you maintain this in the even 2, 3, 5, or even more consumer applications, just that type of calculations, this has become mayhem. And that mayhem results into the inconsistent data being displayed in every single consumption tool. Another disadvantage here is that very often that tools, they require some kind of a data movement, right? So you are moving a data, creating some kind of like a caches, that gets the data from the original data source once in a day because it's huge. So it doesn't provide the real-time data. In some projects, this is fine. Like you need to do that calculation only once a month when you calculate a monthly revenue or yearly revenue, annual one. But in some cases, you need to have more real-time data, reliable and consistent. So what is the good data answer for this? We believe that the ideal way in here, and this is a principle of what we call headless BI, is that the metrics layer together with the semantic model, right, built on the top of the physical data, is supposed to be centralized. It is supposed to be one layer that is built on the top of the data. It sits close to the data, so it can actually get updated real time and so on and so on. I will get into that into this, and and then provided through the standard integration channels, not only the APIs, also the protocols, SDKs, and so on. I will demo some of the approaches in there to be provided to whoever is consuming it. And by consuming it, I mean, of course, not only the metrics itself, right? For example, the calculated revenue, but also if you imagine the example that I will be showing in a few minutes is that the revenue is also always displayed in some context. That means in good data terminology, this means sliced, right? Or stacked by. So the revenue you display split per department. You display split per, I don't know, the geographical location, right? The continents, right? If you have a huge company. And this context is something that should be stored as well as a part of that metrics layer, the part of that semantic model layer. Why? Because imagine that you just build the metric for the revenue, right? And then you want to share it for whoever is consuming it. If you then share it to like Power BI, RStudio, Jupyter Notebook, you'll give them revenue. But if they want to, slice it and dice it by, let's say, the department, they will do it differently, right? So what if, and that's another idea of Headless BI, what if somebody who understands how to build the easy-to-use analytics, build that metric for the revenue with all the data set behind it, then go to some unified tool, in our case, Good Data, build there a simple chart that is showing the revenue sliced by departments, and that can also be referenced by the consumer application. So when they want to get the revenue sliced by departments to show it consistently, they just refer that specific insight and then represent it in other tools like Power BI, Tableau, others, right? So this is the idea behind it. Now, of course, I would like to include some live demos in this session as well. So first of all, before I jump into the first demo, I'd like to describe what I am going to use as a demo data, right? As a demo data, what I will then use is the car insurance from the Switzerland. This is kind of like a dummy data, fully anonymized public data set that we found somewhere on the insurance web. And this is a simple data model, right? This shows some coverage claims, customers. It's like 6 different data sets that are then converted into what's called a semantic model in the good data. I will explain later on what it is. So that's going to be the data model that I will use for the demos. And I will actually, if I go back to this schema, I will actually show it to you the diverse way. I'll show it to you from the top. So first, I'll show you how to consume, how does it look when you consume that results of that metrics layer on the top of the data from the external consumer applications, right? So, and then we will go into showing how to build the metrics, how to build a semantic model, what it really is, what are the advantages, all the way down into the connection to the data sources and so on. Because I believe this is the better way to demonstrate it. So first of all, I'll show you some. Let me switch back in here. This is my. This is actually just to show you what I will be actually demonstrating also later on, that we can consume from the unified semantic layer in the GoodData.CN from the various external consumers. In this case, just for the demonstration, I have used the Power BI. I've also used the Excel. And I don't want to jump into the details. I think the only good technical information that is good to know is that the way how we do it is that there is a GoodData.CN application that kind of like simulates and has that single source of metrics and the semantic model. And whatever tool that is able to connect through the JDBC or ODBC driver to Postgres-like connection, right? It connects directly to the GoodData.CN and gets the data from there. If you create a metric, it basically gets represented in the GoodData.CN as a table, automatically updated, and therefore you can connect into it from whatever tool. In this case, I'm showing it in the Excel, I'm showing it in the Power BI. I could do it in the others. Actually, the examples would be always the same. You can do it from Tableau. You can do it from Quelic. You can do it from various different type of the consumers. So how actually is this done? Let me start actually from scratch. I will show the first thing. We go here. What I'm jumping to right now is our tool called the GoodData.CN. That is that engine, the analytical engine that actually does this unified metrics layer and semantic model layer. It is a tool that you can deploy, and I will spend some time into saying, how to deploy it, how do we support it. But it is literally the piece of software that we are giving to you. It is not hosted. It's some SaaS solution that we are giving to you, that analytical engine that you can deploy to your application. You can connect it to your data, and you can start building that semantic layer and the metrics layer. On the top of that, you can use it also as one of the consumers of that metrics layer and the semantic layer. What does that mean? That once you connect the data, you build your semantic model, you can build the insights, you can build the dashboards directly in there, and then consume it the same way as you connect, as for example, if you connect from the Power BI to the GoodData.CN metrics layer and start building the charts in there. So just to show you how does it look like, I'm actually going to be working on the 3 different instances. It's going to be simulation of dev environment, then production environment, and then I will always show you how does it look if I want to take everything and move it to my localhost environment. So in here, I'm putting my development hat on my head, and this is kind of like a we use the concept of the workspaces, which is kind of like an endpoint where all the dashboards, insights, metrics, and the data model sits. So I should start with the data model, right? Data model, and now I'm getting into what is the semantic model. Semantic model, long story short, we can have a long discussion what it actually is, how to build the effective data model, semantic data model. But long story short, it's a simplification that is built from your physical data model, and that it shows, and it kind of like simplify the data to use only what you need for your analytical projects. It actually helps you to link the data, set up the keys correctly, to basically create a star schema that can then help you build the insights and dashboards very effectively by just simply drag and dropping, having the context awareness that if you are building the insight of, let's say, the claims or coverages sum, then you can slice it and use the context from the different data sets and so on, right? So that is actually like once you build this, the GoodData.CN also provides the capabilities to start building the insights and dashboards directly in there, similarly to what you can do in the Power BI. So you can imagine this part as one of the other consumer applications, but this is in this case combined together with the semantic model and the metrics layer. So just to show you how would you build a simple chart in there. I don't want to spend more time because this is an experience that most of you know very, very well. So I will be doing the net revenue in here that I have based on the metric. I will show you later on how to build this metric, build this calculation, and I will split it by car make, which is actually what I was showing, the same chart that I was showing a few minutes ago in the Power BI, in the Excel, because it is linked to the same data, right? So I can, then store it. I can use it in the dashboard. I can organize the dashboards and so on and so on. This is the experience that all of you know from most of the BI tools, and we provide this experience as well. However, let me jump into the next topic, and that next topic is, I was mentioning that you can consume the data, like the metrics, the insights and dashboards from the tools like BI tools, data science tools, and so on and so on. However, what is also very important to provide some access so that the analytics, meaning again, metrics layer, semantic layer, but also insights and dashboards that you build on the top of it, that you can consume it on the low code level. What does that mean? The typical example that I want to use is, imagine you are having an insurance company, and this insurance from scratch, it's a couple of years ago, and they are starting to build the customer portal, right? What do they want? They want to build that portal by themselves. They want to have also some mobile application and so on and so on. This portal is going to be one of the consumers that will be consuming this insurance data for the individual customers. So anybody such as me, Martin, can create my account in the insurance company, set up some insurance, then register into the portal, go there. I will see that insurance, let's call it the lemon insurance. I will see there my data on top of their front end and so on and so on. I don't want to go into as a final customer, and they don't want me to go to the Power BI, some kind of like a dashboard to see how is my insurance going, what is the history, and so on and so on. So what they want is that this lemon insurance company, they have their developers, they build their front end, their back end of the portal, all the services that are taking care of the portal, and they want the analytical engine to be the small piece of it, where they just want to create easily by using existing libraries, existing components. They want to create the small piece of dashboard, few charts, 6 charts that they want to show to the end customers into how their insurance is going. This is what I call low code consumption. They don't want to like include there anything from like Power BI or something. They just want to build one chart and include it there. They don't want to build it from scratch because this is a lot of work. They don't want to do it. So this is to demonstrate that not only the simple like a protocols-based connection to that metrics layer and semantic layer from things like BI tools is important, but also accessibility from the local. How does this work? Let me demonstrate again. I have shown you that this is the install GoodData.CN. I am actually building here some dashboards and insights. Let me switch back here. I'll go into the list of the charts. I won't show you how to build it. Again, all of you know, but here is the list of the insights, meaning charts. This is our terminology for charts that you have available, right? And like this is something that analytical teams has built. And then I want my developers who are taking care of that portal, I want to have them access to this. I want them to take that metrics that I have prepared. I want them to take the insights that I have prepared and include it to the portal and just connect it to the right data. That's it. So what I have built for this purpose is what we call the sample application. This is the React and JavaScript based application. This is running on my local host. And what I'm actually doing here, this is my custom application. By the way, in the GoodData.com, if you go to the examples gallery, you can find it as well. So you can just download it, optimize it as much as you want, just for some testing and onboarding if you wish. But what I want to demonstrate here is how to do it if I want to consume the analytics and metrics and semantic model on the low-code level. You can see that in my application in here, I am consuming individual insight. I can also include there, we call it embed, the embedded analytics. That's a use case that we, as we call it. I can include embed, ergo consume the whole dashboard, and I can also build my own insights. Now, how is this done? Well, this is done very easily. We do provide, for this purpose, we provide various different SDKs. We provide the Python SDK, we provide the JavaScript SDK in order to embed that SDK to your application, connect it to your GoodData.CN instance, where you have the semantic model, where you have the metrics layer and all the insights sitting and living, and connect to it and embed it into your application. And I won't jump into anywhere else within the code rather than this, right? This is actually the representation of my first page, the overview dashboard, where I'm embedding the whole dashboard as I was showing it to you in the GoodData.CN. So we can see that in here, I get the list of the dashboards, which I have only one. And this is actually the overview dashboard that I was showing you in the GoodData in here. This is the dashboard that I'm embedding here. If I go back to the GoodData.CN and I go to dashboards, I will see that exactly one dashboard in here. That's the overview dashboard that I'm embedding. If I go and rearrange anything and change anything, I will be able to actually, change it and then have it dynamically rewritten into my application in here. So for example, if I change whatever colors, even what data are standing in behind the inside, I will actually get it directly into my application. Same approach I can use for the individual insight. Right here, I should get the same list that I was showing you before. So you can see the same insights that my data analyst team has prepared for me, and I can include them in my application, ergo embed them, ergo consume them, right? However, what we also believe, it is important to not only consume the visual objects, but also to consume the data model as well. So instead of just referencing the visual object, what you can also do is to, by using our SDK, to build this object directly. So in this case, what I'm actually doing, and that's the third case that I was showing, I can get access from my application to that semantic layer with all the metrics, ergo net revenue here. I'm not sure if the net revenue in here will display the nice results, but let me do this. Let me comment this one. Let me save it and then refresh my app here. If I go in here, you should see the, so you should see the updated, oh, sorry. So this is probably not correct visual type for this one. So let me change it back to claim amount. Save it, I should get it. But you get the principle, right? So not only to have access to the visual objects, but also to have access to the semantic layer and build your objects directly in your application in order to provide the support for whole the life cycle. It lives in your app and you are just referencing the metric sitting in the GoodData.CN, which usually most of our customers, they have a specific people taking care of that metrics. If something changes in the way how you calculate the revenue or a claim amount, they change it and they want to get the change automatically propagated to wherever it is consumed, right? So if somebody changes the way how claim amount or revenue is calculated, it will get changed in my application instantly. So let me jump back into the, we just went through the embedding demo. So what I want to spend some time on is what are actually the integration channels that we as a GoodData consider to be important. I have shown you how to consume the visuals sitting in the GoodData.CN and metrics and data semantic layer through the standard protocols. The way how it was connected from the Power BI, from the Excel and others was through the JDBC protocol. The second example that I was showing is through the SDKs. And we also do offer the open API access to the everything that is going on within the GoodData.CN, not only to get the definition of the metadata objects, but also to get the list of the insights, dashboards, and everything, and metrics, change the metrics and everything. This is for the various different reasons, not only for the consuming of the analytical objects and semantic layer, but also for being able to manage the whole application lifecycle, right? So to deploy from one environment to another and so on and so on. So these are actually the three key integration channels that we pay attention to, that we improve continuously. We will be releasing a brand new Python SDK within like 1 or 2 weeks in the December, together with many different options. But I just wanted to demonstrate that this is the big focus of ours, to enable as many external or even internal consumers to consume what you build in the GoodData.CN in that semantic layer. So now let me spend some time on the governance. This is kind of like an access management, and I see the time is ticking very fast. So I will spend just a few minutes on this one. What do we actually believe is that once you build that unified semantic model and metrics and so on, for the various different group of the consumers, you will want to use different access rights, different access endpoints, and so on and so on. So how do we do this actually is, again, very simple. Let me jump. This was basically, if I go back to the GoodData.CN, to that my dev instance, this was basically one workspace, which actually has all the data for that whole sample insurance company, right? Now I switch to simulation of the production environment. You imagine that your analyst team has prepared your semantic model, your metrics, everything is ready. But in the production, in fact, your insurance company, they need to provide different visuals, different results to different department of theirs. I've used the simulation of simulating the departments per the Swiss region. So it's like Bern, Zurich. I don't remember what it stands for the others, but you get the idea, right? So what you actually do in the insurance demo, this is kind of like a parent-child hierarchy. So in the parent workspace, you build your analytics, you build your visuals, you build your semantic model. Just to show you, here you can see the same dashboard that as I was using in the dev environment, just the different colors in here, but it provides some data. I could jump into individual insights and show you the same. However, the point here is that remember the numbers here. It's like A to K, to 3K, to 3 million. And if I jump back to the list of the endpoints and go to the, for example, the endpoint for Bern region, I will see the same dashboards, same analytics, also the same semantic model and metrics, right? Because they are set up in the parent workspace. However, I have applied the filter for each individual regions, and you can very simply divide how the data are displayed on the top of the same analytics, but with the different results per the region. Now, how this is done, I won't show you the whole process because that would be too deep of a detail, unnecessary for now. But what I wanted to say is that the filters, as well as every single object within the GoodData.CN, can be defined the declarative way. So for every object, meaning insight and chart, dashboard, metric, semantic model, users, organizations, workspaces, everything, it can be set up the simple human readable JSON file that you can store into your repository. Because we believe that if you take the analytical engine and you deploy it into your stack, it has to follow your rules for the code promotion, for CI/CD pipelines, right? For everything. So we want you to manage the whole content of this analytical engine, meaning of, again, dashboard, insights, metrics, everything, to store into your repo, such as GitHub, in the form of the human readable JSON files. If it's supposed to be changed, your guys that have access to the same repository will change it, then deploy it, and so on and so on. You get the point. So this is how we access, or how we guarantee some kind of like access management and the data governance. Of course, we can go into more details. If you have any questions, feel free. So we went through the governance demo. Let me switch into the next topic, and this is metrics. We get into not only how the metrics are consumed. If you remember, again, this schema, not only how it is consumed, right? We were showing you the external consumers. Then we have went to how to consume it on the technical level, on the low code level, how to utilize these APIs, how to utilize these SDKs, and so on and so on. Let me then jump into how it is actually built, how the semantic model is built, how the metrics are built. So we have spoke a little bit about the semantic model. Semantic model, I won't show you how exactly to build it because it's a lot of clicking, a lot of drag and dropping, right? But the idea is that you scan automatically your physical data model, then it will represent what is in that physical data model, and then you pick what are the parts that are important for you. You'll delete whatever is not important for you, and so on and so on. You get the point. But what to do next when you want to build the custom calculations? For building the custom calculations, ergo metrics, we do use our proprietary language called MACL. MACL is the good data language, query language for building custom metrics. I will show you how it looks like. The whole reason for bringing this up was that we didn't want to force users to know SQL very well. We wanted to simplify the SQL expressions as much as possible. And you will see how MACL is significantly simpler compared to the pure SQL, because we wanted to actually provide this to be available for people who do not have like a deep technical skill set on the SQL level. So we have built this, and we have enabled the composable metrics. So it means that you can, hierarchy the metrics on the top of each other and so on, which I will now show you. What I will be doing is that I already have prepared the metric called revenue and the claim amount, and I will create the metric called margin on the top of these two. These metrics is actually what then can be used for building insights and dashboards. And the same metrics are what are inside the GoodData.CN are kind of like every time there is a new metric, it is kind of like a converted into table-like structure. And that's actually the structure which Power BI, Tableau, Excel, and other consumption tools are connecting into, whether through the protocols, whether through the SDKs, but it is always connecting to the same structure where each metric that you have created is represented by table, having the data set directly in there. So that's why the data are available real time, because the CN, GoodData.CN, takes care of whenever there is a change. It actually does the direct query into the underlying data source and update the data set behind the metric. So now let me just spend some time on how the metrics are built. When I will jump to the development simulation again, and you have noticed that there is a tab called metric. I won't spend too much time on this one because we don't want to jump into the session how to build macro. So I will be like, let's say, a demo margin metric. And what I will do, we do have a metric editor to be a part of directly GoodData.CN. And let me tell you that the metric editor, not only I think the editor is too low-level name. This is a big focus of ours. Improving the management of the metrics is actually where we spend a significant amount of our effort in the roadmap. We basically want to provide the end-to-end experience for managing the metric lifecycle. Of course, with the presumption that when you deploy the analytical engine into your application stack, you want to manage the things like versioning in your repository. So when I'm saying monitoring the metric lifecycle, I mean be aware where the metrics is used. If you change something, what will you break, right? Potentially, in what insights, what dashboards is it used, and so on and so on. So let me quickly show you how the metric is being built. So I get the context awareness here. So what I want to do is just divide the net revenue by, I believe, premium revenue in here, and this is it. I compare this to the SQL, right? Compare this to what would you have to do if you do it in the SQL. If you build a semantic model properly, if you build it right, then building a matrix on the top of it is like writing the simple mathematical expression, whatever you want to do. So I'll save it here. I have created my margin. It's sitting in here, the margin demo. I've created a new one. Sorry, because I obviously forgot to delete the last one. And what I can do directly is demo margin. It will give me, I have probably forgot to round it. So sorry, my mistake. Let me around it. I want to go to the percent. This will be better. So I have to store it. Let me go again to start building the demo margin in here. Should be able to split it there. Car make in here. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, that's this is the like a percentage margin. So of course I would have to play with like you know, customizing the format and so on and so on. But you get the idea. This is actually what you saw on the very beginning when I was showing the screenshots, what you can display in the various different BI tools, right? So I'm calculating the margin in here. I can start like, you know, slicing it by different things like customer age group, right? What margin is being created by different customer age groups within that insurance, you know, company, you know, revenue, and so on and so on. So this is how the metrics are built. And just to show you what is the difference when you actually do the query to the underlying data source to calculate something like this, compared to if you do the query into this table-like structure, how GoodData.CN represents the metrics. Let me give you a quick example here. I have prepared in here the basically what I was just showing. This is like how I want to calculate the margin, or here, this is the revenue margin, how I want to calculate it if I use the simple SQL, without any modification, without any semantic model, and so on and so on. And this is actually how I would do it if I query directly. This was for the customer age group. This is for the car make. So this is actually how I would query it if I'm querying directly that semantic layer, the metrics layer that the GoodData.CN represents in here. This is just to show you the comparison of what it looks like when you consume it on the low-code level, right? If you want to query it through the GoodData.CN level. So this is just kind of like a cherry top on it. Let me move actually to two more chapters that we go through. One thing that I wanted to mention, we are going down to the level of the data, how GoodData.CN actually approaches the how do we approach the ability to connect to the various different data sources. Long story short, we do support the a few data sources natively. We do support about like 6, 7 of them: Redshift, Google BigQuery, Postgres, Vertica, Snowflake, and so on. And we also do support what's called data source manager. So far, we do support the Dremio and the Apache Drill, but the whole idea behind this is we believe that if you use GoodData.CN for large-scale analytical projects, that you want to use it as the single source of all the metrics, all the calculations that you do on the top of the data, right? Then you will probably want to combine multiple different data sources. The project is going to be huge. For example, for this insurance, normally the claim data would come somewhere else from the customer data. You have a customer database, and the claims, which is the financial information, would sit in somewhere else, or different database with a different security level, and so on and so on. So for those customers who want to combine the multiple different data sources, even homogenic, Like they can use our native support for things like a Dreamy or Apache Drill, where you can connect the multiple different data sources and then convert it into the single schema that you will then use to build your semantic model on the top of. And from that point forward, all things that apply that I was showing before are actually applying the same, and it works the same. You build your semantic model metrics and you start consuming it through any integration channel that we do offer, as I said. And last topic that I wanted to show you is actually how do we believe that the analytical engine like GoodData.CN should sit in the Headless BI projects in your Headless BI application stack. And this is where I get into how our declarativity works. Again, long story short, because we are running slowly but surely out of time. So let me jump to the demonstration. We believe that, as I said, all the customers within their stack, they want to manage the metadata by themselves in their repositories, and they want to have a simple way how to, when they spawn up a new environment, whether it's QA, whether they want to deploy something from test to production, and so on and so on, it should be the matter of one click. So what I will show you now is, let me jump back to the browser. And here is what I'm having is again, another instance of a GoodData.CN Community Edition deployed into my local host. As you can see, it is empty. So no workspaces in the background, nothing. And what I will do now is that I will switch to the Postman. And what I will do is that I will push the definition of the entire GoodData.CN, entire analytical engine into my local host instance. So what I'm actually doing is that through API, I'm pushing there the whole workspace definition with metric model, with semantic model, with everything. I can do it individually for different insights, individual metrics, individual users, groups, whatever I want. But in this case, I'm pushing there this whole definition in the JSON format just to show you how does it look like. This is something like this, right? It has, because it's huge, it has everything. It's like filter definitions. You'll find there the insights definition. You'll find there the different metrics together with their expressions, formatting, and so on and so on. So if I do this, if I switch back to the Postman and push the whole content into my local host, it will take some time. I get 204. And if I refresh it, I should get here the same thing that I have shown you previously on that simulation of a production environment. So if I go to the insurance demo, to the parent workspace, I will get there same dashboards, I'll get there the same insights, I'll get there the same semantic data model, same metrics that I have created before and everything. It takes time because on my local host, I'm referencing it to the same database that's sitting somewhere in AWS. But as you can see, the data are the same, and I just by one click, I have deployed it into my local host GoodData.CN instance. So this is how the management of the metadata can be defined. As I said, this can be defined, this can be done for any single object within the analytical engine. And with that, let me jump to the last chapter, and that's kind of like just a summary. We have shown you today various different type of integration with the analytical engine, meaning of GoodData.CN. We have shown you how to connect to there from the low code, from the SDKs that we do provide, how to do it through the various protocols, how you can work with the CI/CD and the versioning. We also, I didn't show it, but we of course believe that it has to be off the shelf, pluggable into the existing customer user management. So we want you to take the GoodData.CN, plug it to your application stack, connect it with your authentication provider, identity provider, such as Okta, and just from the scratch, have your users access to whatever analytical objects they need to have an access to, and so on and so on. So that's the philosophy of our GoodData.CN headless BI engine. For those of you who are interested, what we every demo that I was showing right now was done on the community edition, which is available on the Docker Hub in the form of all-in-one image. It has everything in there. It's completely free and it doesn't limit any features. There are actually no features limitation. In case it's supposed to be used, it is not supposed to be used for the production now. We will very likely change it early next year. But for the production use cases, we are offering the Kubernetes Helm charts, which of course they work on the different principle. But for any kind of like evaluation, for testing everything that I was showing to you, I highly encourage to go to the Docker Hub, get the community edition, and you can start playing immediately from there with all the features, connection to all the data sources, everything with all the GUI. So with this, we have 9 minutes left for the questions. I hope it wasn't too rushy. I hope you have enjoyed the session. Let's see if we have any questions. Don't be afraid to ask any questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Martin. That was really excellent. We do have a question from Mark Bonner. He says, have you heard about the concept of data mesh, and can you bring it into the context of this overview?
That's a great question. Well, we believe that we want to specialize into that semantic layer and into that metrics layer, and into building the effective analytics and sharing them from that point forward. We don't want to focus on any kind of like the basic ETL transformation in advance. We don't want to focus into like combining the different data sources and working on this level. We believe that there are different platforms that are better than we do, and our vision is to wide out the potential integrations that you can do, but leave it actually at the dead platforms to do it the best. This is why we have introduced the integration with the Drill and the Dremio, and we are continuing. We are right now, well, I cannot talk about this yet, but we are right now working on top of I would say 3 or 4 other platforms that basically provide different data tasks like data transformations and so on and so on. And we want to easily integrate with them and let them to do what they are best in, and let us follow up with building effective analytics.
Excellent. Thank you, Martin. We've got a little bit of time left. If anybody else has a question, just pop it into the chat window and we will get that asked for you right now. So Stefan asks, is there an extra security layer within the semantic layer, or is it just passing the current user credentials through and leaves security in the sources?
Sorry, can you read it again, please?
So is there an extra security layer within the semantic layer, or is it just passing the current user credentials through and leaves the security in the sources?
Yeah, at the moment, yes. In the community edition, yes. What we are right now working on is basically various different access rights for every single individual object within the analytical engine. So yes, we work with the concept that different group of users will want to be responsible for semantic layers and metrics, right? And different group of users will be responsible for just building the insights and dashboards on the top of it, and so on and so on.
Excellent. And we've got time for one more question. If somebody wants to put that in nice and quick. Let's see. I'm monitoring. I'm looking for people typing, Martin. It's very, very cold here in Berlin, and we've actually had it snowing today. So I certainly know that my fingers are not working as fast as they usually are. So we'll give people an extra 20 seconds in case their fingers are not working as quickly either.
It's same here, actually. We have a lot of snow recently. I'm in Czech Republic in Hradec Králové, so it's not that far. It's like 4 hours, I believe, driving from Berlin. A lot of snow now.
Yeah, it was good to wake up to it this morning. I was wondering if somebody had moved the television aerial because it looked like static outside, and then I realized it was snow. So, all right, that looks like, oh, there we go, Thomas Gasso. Is the data catalog part of your solution?
Data catalog as itself is not part of our solution. Again, this is our vision. Our vision is to integrate what other platforms are doing the best. However, what we like to position ourselves is like also like a metric catalog. right? So what we want to do is basically be good in categorizing metrics, grouping metrics, monitor the usage of the metrics, test the metrics, right? Are they written effectively? What is the data set behind it? So I would say not the data catalog, but metric catalog, yes.
Excellent. Well then, Martin, any final last words to add to that, and maybe just make sure everybody understands a quick summary and also where to find you?
Yeah, sure. Am I understanding correctly? You want me to do the summary, right?
Yeah. Just make sure everyone knows where to find you and Good Data. I mean, I'm sure that people will have more questions, but of course, if they can find you online or on social media, they can message you there. I see you've got a nice Slack community as well. I was taking notice of that.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, first of all, thanks everybody for your attention. As I said, all what I was showing you can try by your own. If you are interested into the good data, what else we are doing, what we are up to, what are the use cases that we primarily cover, I highly encourage you to go to the GoodData.com. There is basically the path to either the GoodData.CN or different products that we are doing. And I believe the best way that you can get the news. And if you are trying to do anything with the community edition or with other editions, and you want to get the technical help, that's our Slack community. That's where we have our dev team basically connected like 24/7. They are answering all the questions, the technical questions and helps and so on. If you want to learn something about the roadmap, if you want to ask something about the roadmap or about the company itself, this is the best way as well.
Excellent. Well, huge thank you to Martin and Jona. And to Good Data for bringing this wonderful and educational content to everybody today. And of course, a massive thanks to all of our attendees. We really enjoyed having you here, and we hope you got a lot out of this session. I'm Stuart Rogers for Data Economy and Data Natives, and that was your Good Data webinar today. I hope everybody has a fantastic day and rest of the day, wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you on another Data Natives webinar real soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day. And Merry Christmas.